Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Inner Circle podcast where real estate meets real life, hosted by yours truly, your homegirl, Jillian. We are coming to you live on IntellectualRadio.com, their YouTube channel, and all my social media platforms. And if you missed the live show, no worries. You can catch the replay anytime on YouTube, iHeartRadio, Facebook, or Instagram. So today's show is extra special because April is actually Financial Literacy Month. So it's the perfect time to have real conversations about money, credit, and building wealth the right way. So, and if you know me, you know I'm all about real estate and real life money moves. So, which is why I've recently expanded my business to offer credit repair assistance, and access to business funding. Because let's be real, generational wealth doesn't start at closing, it starts with credit, capital, and confidence. So, joining me today is someone who lives and breathes this work, Drew Ali, financial literacy expert, entrepreneur, and national sales director with Nove. He's here to break down everything from credit and debt help to business funding and what it really takes to level up and build legacy the right way. So, if you're a buyer, investor, entrepreneur, or just tired of feeling stuck financially, this episode is going to be for you. Call us live at 708 223 8953 and join the conversation. Grab your coffee, your tea, your mimosa, whatever it is that you need to get comfortable, and let's get into it. So, Drew, before I have you introduce yourself, I've been doing this thing. I've been doing quick icebreaker questions. So,
All right, perfect.
don't mind me, but I like to do fun things to get my guests ready to go. So, if you could give your 18-year-old self one piece of financial advice, what would it be and why?
One financial advice:
Yes, one piece. Yep. Okay.
put a minimum of 20% of your income away and never touch it again. At minimum, tuck it
Minimum of
away and let
20%.
it compound. Absolutely,
So,
minimum.
savings is safe.
Yeah, well, I like to call it investing because your savings, you can't save money in this day and age in America, right? You saving money, then the dollar value drops every day, so you can't really save money. I like to say you tuck it away to invest, but saving, I guess that's the technical term. But I like
Right.
to say you put it away to grow for you. So at a compound interest, that makes a big difference for
So
sure.
20% is what that's
Minimum.
good. That's solid advice. I like that. I like that.
My mentors gave it to me, so that's a minimum.
Okay. So Drew, tell people who you are, and we want to get into a little bit about your story. So
Sure. Well, you
yeah.
touch a
Yep.
little bit.
We're gonna come
Drew
up on
Ali
mic.
first.
Okay.
Multiple six-figure earner in my family, soon to be seven. Not to impress anybody, but to impress upon people. How important not just the information, but this, I would say, this platform, just I guess this journey was for me because growing up in the cities of Chicago, you've been around in Chicago, you see all of the negative parts, aspects of it. I've seen it all, but I didn't have many mentors. So fortunately enough, God put the right people in my life, and it attracted me on this journey. But man, it's been a whirlwind. So I mean, that question can go various ways. I've been, came into truck driving, got out of that because of real estate. It's kind of how
Okay.
things come full circle. The reason why I even got into trucking was real estate. You know how all of that comes back and ties to credit. So like it's literally coming full circle for me. The main reasons why I went on my path was financial illiteracy, not having access to capital. But that changed everything once I got this information and started to apply it, and it actually shifted my mindset.
So your background, trucking.
Yeah.
So were you working for a company or you had your own truck?
Both. The reason
Okay.
I initially got into trucking was to understand the industry, and I understand, guess what, with real estate, it's going to take some capital, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I knew, working just a regular, I'm not going to say regular 9 to 5, but you can save and be in any position or any job you can be in any position with a job to be able to put money away to invest. But I knew the trucking industry would pay me the highest amount at the shortest amount of time.
Okay.
And also I could generate a lot of revenue to invest into projects. And I did, that's when I didn't know credit. So that's why it comes full circle, because I wanted to go cash heavy as opposed to leveraging other people's money with credit. And that changed everything once I got this information.
So you said you didn't know about credit when you started. So I get into, when we talk about generational wealth, we've got to talk about generational conversations, right? So your family, nobody ever talked about credit or savings or tucking money away. Those conversations weren't had.
Weren't had at all. Like it creates a different type of frequency in a relationship with money when you don't have those conversations early. So that's why it's really key that financial literacy with your children is important. Telling them to put money away, talking about things in words that they don't even understand. But the best part about it is I did understand how to get money. That wasn't an issue.
Okay.
We had money. Cash was king in our household. Not in a positive way all the time, right? Because my dad did things that most people wouldn't, necessarily do on a regular. But he's an entrepreneur, great man, on real estate. Didn't have credit though. that's where financial literacy comes in. You can have all the money in the world, you can have all the,
Mhm.
I say, access to capital, but if you don't know what to do with it, don't have the financial literacy, it really doesn't matter. So,
Yeah. So having those conversations of how to pay things on time and, not over leveraging your credit cards or, just spending the right way, even what's on paper, getting loans, paying them, on time payments is always going to be a big thing with credit. It holds a lot of weight. And you see a lot of scores are impacted by that. But just having those conversations about the importance of credit, what it can stop you to do. A lot of those times, a lot of those conversations are not had in households. I'm finding as I talk to more people getting into um, the credit lane now that I'm offering that with the business. I'm like, as I've talked to just even potential clients, they talk about, nobody ever talked about credit in my household. And I think that's just it's a missing conversation. I think it's changing now. It's just as we become more aware, empowering ourselves with knowledge, social media, people like you, what I aim to become, arming people with the knowledge and the tools to know about credit, financial literacy, all of that. So got into trucking, just a little bit back to your story. Got into trucking, you real estate, you started flipping, holding property, doing rentals.
well, investing, actually, I had a couple of properties that I lost because, again, not having financial literacy, the
Okay.
credit, condos, investment properties, lost all due to not having access to capital and then not having the right credit score. So even
Okay.
accumulating a lot of cash and not being able to, I guess, sustain it or even leverage other
hmm
people's money is a quick way to lose it. So like that was big for me.
So nobody taught you how, to manage the money, right?
Mhm,
That's a big part.
mhm.
Yep. So fast forward to trucking, you who kind of introduced you to like, okay, I got to get my credit together. I got to get the funding. I got to start managing my money better.
Well, actually, my mentor, man, I definitely want to give it back to him. Thank God for him because, like, we were having these conversations, but we didn't necessarily even come up with these conversations. So that was the big thing is
hmm
understanding the industry that we were in. We both come up through high school, going into trucking, knowing like, hey, we want to leverage you, we want to expand, but more importantly, we want to help other people. So even being in the trucking industry, or you being successful in real estate, you understand that there's people who aren't as successful as you, and how do they get that information, or how can we help them
Right.
without them having the gifts or talents or maybe even skills or even the time to get this information, because it
hmm
does take time sometimes for people who don't have it early. So for me, that was a game changer.
Okay. So fast forward to, you and your mentor, and I'm assuming we're talking about Joe.
Yes,
Yep.
Mr. Oh yeah, Joe Gaither. Hold on, Big Joe. Let's put
I was like,
MJ.
shout out.
Yeah. This guy ain't got this shirt on for nothing, man. We go get his action over everything. I want to give a
Yeah.
shout out to my mentor, incredible team. But yeah, without him, just even having starting a conversation. So I
Right.
think that's part of it. Just
hmm
with people like you who are having conversations like this are important, and it's going to spark some curiosity. It's also going to spark some intellectual action from people behind these conversations. So
hmm
like me and him started having a dialogue, understanding, hey, it's going to take credit to do all the things that we want to do in the community.
hmm
And after that, it was game on from there.
So when you all and Joe was here, actually, Joe was my first guest. Everybody last year, so we kicked off the show talking about credit, money management, financial literacy as a whole. But when you and Joe started, building this network that you guys are still building, it's you're doing great. But was it hard to bring people on board to that conversation when you start talking about money and credit with people?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's hard because I wouldn't say I'm an introverted extrovert, so
Right.
I probably scare some people off. But yeah,
hmm
the conversation you could say it's hard,
Yeah.
but I think we got to have hard conversations in our community. How many conversations have we had that aren't hard? Like everything we experience as a whole, as a collective, I think it's hard. But for me, it's just we got to have those tough conversations. But absolutely, the mindset has to shift.
hmm
People have to understand why we're even bringing the information to them to even receive it the right way, and then understand how important and the parallels that it actually and the certain dynamics that how it affects their lives every day, whether they know it or not. So
Right. So when we talk about it, you hear the term financial literacy, like what comes to your mind? Like what's the first thing?
overall, it's not just money. It's
Okay.
it's it's all right. Are you on is the right side, left side? Are
hmm
you an employee? Are you an entrepreneur? So
Right.
like it's all of that.
hmm
I mean, we could have
Break that down, because that's when I first met Joe years
yeah.
ago. That is the first exercise that he did in a room.
Mhm,
And I think that is so impactful for people because they
yeah.
don't, and almost you have to see it done in
Yeah.
person. But he does this thing where he gets up in front of the room and he
breaks it down a little bit. I
Yeah,
could try to do
and
my
right,
best
yeah,
with it, right?
yeah. Break it.
He explains the difference between the certain mindsets. Like if a certain amount of people are at a certain level of success on one side of the room, our goal is to bring everybody from the right side. If you're, let's say not have the information, don't have the financial literacy, don't have the I guess the execution, we want to make sure that everybody on that left side has that if they're willing and they're ready to do that. So our goal is to take people from the left side, right side of the room, and put them on the left side. So
Right.
go, Joe. You got to get in the room. We have our Thursdays level up events, so you definitely want to come out and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. But you can see that in person. I can't do it as eloquent as he does, but he pretty much explains that you want to have the mindset of bringing as many people as possible
Mhm.
to that right side, because it actually can change the dynamics of their life, their household, and more importantly, their legacy.
Right. So, and I know you guys get a lot of people out to your networking events. So, when you think of like so many folks have a hard time when it comes to talking about credit and money, we kind of touched on this a little bit, but I want to go back to it. And then even funding, or even just asking for help or asking for money. Why do you think that is?
It's a tough conversation, and really it's private for a lot of people. They don't want to talk about money, and it's we're in a generation of microwave success, microwave mentality. You see somebody on Instagram and you
Hmm.
got to have it, and that's why a lot of people don't want to have that dialogue. But if we can be real, we understand the statistics. Most people aren't thriving in 2025. So we can
Hmm.
just have those real conversations with people and let them know, hey, everybody at some point has had a struggle or going through a struggle, or you about to go through one.
Right.
So I think collectively we just need to lock arms with each other and just have those conversations. I would say with our inner circle. That's why I love this podcast,
Hmm.
because that's an inner circle conversation.
Right.
A lot of times you don't want to publicize our failures. You will never see anybody telling you I got $10 in my bank account.
Yep.
They'll tell you they got
Yep.
10,000.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah.
but guess what? That same person that had 10,000, they had $10.
Yep.
So
I was just gonna add piggyback off of that and say I think people are embarrassed to
yeah,
talk
I think
about,
it's a.
where they are even this year. I mean,
Mhm.
this year is turning out to be a interesting year, but it's a rough year for a lot of people,
Yes.
and especially for entrepreneurs. We're watching the markets, just different things that are happening in different industries. So it is tough, and a lot of times we don't share those conversations with our inner circle. So everybody that I've been having on the show, I've kind of asked like, what are your conversations with your people, whether it's family or friends? Like, are you talking about your business? Are you talking about how hard it took to get there? Are you talking about, what it takes, or what your plans are for the future? Like, are you having these conversations? And so that's why I kind of wanted to ask, like, why do you think so many people have a hard time when it comes to money? And I just think it's a matter of perception of this person. I know they have more than me, and I'm not going to stand here and say I have less,
Mhm.
or that I don't know. It's, just coming forward and saying lack of knowledge or understanding. So I think that's people have a hard time with that.
They do. It's like they don't keep their eyes on their own paper. Like we
Right.
got we got different tests, right? You got that
Right.
paper there. If I'm keeping
Right.
glancing over what's over there,
Hmm.
I'm never gonna be able to focus on what's over here. So a lot of people, like you said, they look at other people's lives and um they, I guess, want to have those things, but not knowing their journey is theirs,
Right.
ultimately.
Right.
So
What do you think is like the biggest credit myth? I like to ask that question to anybody in the credit industry that I bring on. Like, what do you think is the biggest myth with credit, or that people think that's not accurate?
that it can't be fixed. That's the biggest myth. People
Hmm.
still in 2025, y'all. People still believe that there aren't things and laws and mechanisms in place to help them get their life back. There are laws in place on the books, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, right? You've
Hmm.
looked this up, not Drew, enacted in 1971, that gives any American the right to correct their information. And a lot of times, I would say 90% of the time, these companies are in the wrong anyway. They're buying
Hmm.
and selling your information without you having access to it. So it's only right that you get access to that. One of the most powerful financial tools you can have is your credit score, your name. So if you don't
Hmm.
have that in order, everything else is kind of a wash.
Yeah, so that myth kind of goes back to what we were talking about, just lack of understanding, or people knowing like what's real and what's not. I tell people this all the time. It's a lot of people out there that are going to tell you they can do credit repair. Get with
Mm,
a reputable company,
yeah,
like who we're with, I'll say,
yeah,
that
absolutely.
are have results and that have testimonials with people that are, addressing their credit and they're seeing positive results. And so, I just think you got to do your research
You got
and believe that things can change, like you said.
absolutely got to know it. A lot of the information, and I like to say, I don't. We're not disclaimer. We're not a credit repair company. In fact, I don't. I despise credit repair companies because they are in business for profit, right? They
Hmm.
want to make money on your bad credit. Us, we're just a resource to help you
Right.
get to the next level, which is way different. We're going to educate you walk you through step by step, hold your hand, educate you more importantly, because even getting access to the solutions and not having the education,
Right.
you'll be right back in the same situation. So our
Absolutely.
goal is to educate you first, more importantly, so you can actually pass that down to never be in that situation again.
Yeah. So being in that situation again, let's talk about like what are some of the biggest mistakes in you talking and working with people? Like what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see people making with their credit? Like when they come, I'm sure you've had people walk up to you and say, "Okay, Drew, this is what I got going on." So what are like some of the biggest mistakes that you see people
So
make?
many. Number one, applying for things while you're working on their credit.
Okay.
Just crazy things like getting a late payment while you're in the process, right? That's crazy for something minor,
Right.
as small as like a kickoff account, right?
Right.
Something really inexpensive
Hmm.
that can throw your process off 6 months to a year. So a lot of times people don't realize put those bills on auto pay. Like some late payments are some of the hardest things to come off for your credit, and you want to make sure you don't get them because they are one of the biggest impacts. So
So, and I know I'm going to ask this because I get asked this a lot. Can late payments come off?
absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. Yep. What else can come off?
Everything. No, I'm just saying. But well, anything that's inaccurate, erroneous, or affecting your credit in a negative way that's not really actually your account. Because even after 180 days legally, a lot of these debts are sold to collection companies by law, not just by what Drew's saying. They're legally not even your debt. So I would say for anybody to address it, have the conversation with a financial literacy expert like yourself, somebody who's going to actually walk them through the process to educate them and let them know what can and can't be done. Now, there's some things that can be fixed, which is ignorance, right? Because some people will still make the same mistakes even though you educate them. So it takes you holding that consultant's hand also. Credit restoration is not a one-sided thing, especially in our community. A lot of people, what they do is they pay a company and they even have the money. They just don't have the time. They say, look, I don't want to get educated. I'm going to just pass the
Mhm.
ball. What we call in our movement, you pass the ball, but you also got to get the information as you're
Mhm.
passing it. So we put that onus on someone else to get that education for us. And
Mhm.
now we're waiting to figure out, okay, if I don't get results, then what's the issue,
Right.
right? So now we're waiting to try bouncing around to different companies. So I would suggest to anybody, not just get with the consultant, but get educated because credit
Mhm.
is one of the number one financial tools in your life. And if you're putting that on someone else, the onus on someone else, then that's a problem in the beginning. So
And speak up if you don't know something. I know a lot of the terms can be intimidating or just confusing. If you don't know, a term that somebody's using as you're getting educated, ask a question. Make them break it down to you further so you understand. Because I think that's where a lot of people get hung up. They don't understand the process or they don't understand how things are working with their credit.
for sure.
So yeah.
For sure. The inner workings, the
Yep.
little details, those things are really important. And if they're missed, then they throw off the process.
Absolutely. So if somebody's credit is not the best, right? And they're starting over, what's the first thing that they should do?
First thing they was to do is get with you, right? Get with the consultant. But the next thing is
Right.
also start to rebuild, right? There's
Hmm.
all credit can be rebuilt, restored, and repaired. Whether it's personal on the business side, start to reestablish it. I would definitely tell them if they're just starting out, either get access to an authorized user, somebody who has a lengthy credit history. That's the fastest and quickest way to do it. Or and start to reestablish. If they don't have that, they can still just build from scratch.
What about trade lines? I know that's a popular thing.
It's a
Yeah.
popular conversation,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of scams out there with trade lines. So you
Right.
want to get with a reputable company. That's a term. Piggybacking is for somebody like family member. Say you were my sister, right?
Right.
And you had 18 years of positive credit history. I could borrow from that. So that's what trade lines are just positive accounts that you can add to your credit profile. So whether they're yours or someone else's, they're beneficial. But you also want to keep in mind that there are two types of accounts, trade lines: primaries and secondaries. Primaries are really strong accounts, things that you can go out and establish yourself, like Ava, Kickoff. Not to name drop those companies, they need to
Right.
pay us, but those are just a couple to name a few to start to build and reestablish your credit.
Got it. So I want to kind of give people a small window. Like, so how does Nove actually help folks knock down their debt and boost their credit at the same time? Because I
Uh,
know that's
yeah, I
a
love that
service.
question.
Yeah.
Absolutely, we have a free solution for the debt help. Any business owner who has anything over $10,000 in unsecured debt, or this business or consumer, and business owners, 90% of the debt can be wiped up to 50% off. So like that's a big deal for somebody to have a free conversation, a free call. So business owners out there, if you're in debt and you're trying to cut that debt in half, having a free conversation with somebody who can actually renegotiate that debt and get that down for you. And you could be paying less, if not like up to 10% for those business owners. For those people who are just on a come up as consumers and they're saying, man, maybe I don't need credit repair, but I'm just in overwhelming debt. I want to pay some of this debt down. We can, cut that in half and help them get on a payment plan that's affordable, but
Mhm.
more importantly, help them get their life back. And if somebody's considering bankruptcy, it's a bankruptcy alternative. I would definitely consider our debt help program much sooner than bankruptcy, because bankruptcy again, It's going to knock your credit down close to 100 plus points minimum. And then you're still going to have to come see us with bankruptcy. And most people actually don't even need bankruptcy. So have a consultation, have that conversation first, even before you go to bankruptcy. That help is, I would say, a great solution for business owners and regular consumers to consider.
So you brought up business credit, and I kind of want to speak more to people out there that have businesses, because we know a lot of entrepreneurs out there. So let's kind of talk about business credit. So how is that different? How do you define that different from personal credit?
It's the cheat code. I'm gonna say that again.
The
It's the
cheat
cheat
code.
code.
Okay.
America is business. We're in a capitalist country, so if you don't own a business, you're being leveraged by a business. Let me just put it like that. So personal credit is just to get on the other side. So
Mhm.
that's a whole nother conversation. We can have another podcast for the business credit segment. But I love that because that's another reason why I didn't have access to that, right? You have the personal credit and then you put all the liability on that side and you don't have that leverage or even the flexibility that the business credit entails. So imagine having, maybe 50, 100,000 on the personal side, but now you get business credit and you have 200,000, 300.
Mhm.
So it just gives you flexibility and also leverage to actually achieve your goals.
So I want to break that down a little bit more, just to give people that are just starting off, say they just started their LLC a year or 2 years ago, they haven't applied for any credit cards, they don't have a Duns and Bradstreet number. That, I mean, hopefully they have an EIN, but I'm like, just going down to the minor steps. What is a tip that you would give a business owner to say this is the first thing you should do?
Fundability. You have to be seen. If your business, all the information isn't congruent, like your address, your email, all the things that a bank can identify your business for, those are the things that get most people denied, and those are the things that most people miss. And even as small as their name, right? You want to make sure that your code is even fundable. So check your fundability factors. We do that free with no
Mhm.
bet. Yes, plug, shameless plug,
Right.
right?
Absolutely.
We can
Yep.
check that for free. You get with the right person that can have a consultation with you. The first thing is make sure that business is even visible, and
Hmm.
that's 90% of businesses are out of the whack with that
Absolutely. So the
alone.
name, the address, the phone number, you're on
Website,
Google,
Google,
website,
Facebook,
absolutely,
yeah,
yes, yeah, yep. Your
visibility is
footprint,
everything.
your
Yeah,
digital
your
footprint
footprint.
or realistic footprint
Google,
is out there,
yeah,
right?
411 directory. So making sure that is out there, because when they look you up, then they can't even see you. Then you're definitely not getting any money.
Hmm.
So like,
Okay,
for sure.
okay. So someone's like, oh, we talked about first step. So just getting started, first step, breaking that down, visibility. Any other tips for like business funding? So access, getting the money, like applying. I know you said, you have to have a physical footprint. We just talked about that. But any other tips? Because I know some people that have applied and they have all that and they still can't get approved.
Absolutely. Now they want to check with a reputable company that one
Right.
can help them through the process. We actually help business owners get a minimum $50,000. Now let's see what their profile is looking like. Let's check that DUNS number. Let's
Hmm.
see that what their payday score looks like. So there's things that are inside of that are going to limit a business from getting funding. So the
Hmm.
next tip I would say is their personal credit. That's the next number one thing. So guess what?
Absolutely. As
Business
a
owners don't
guarantee.
realize
Yeah.
that you might have to personal guarantee some
Yep.
things at
Absolutely.
first, right? To even get in the door. I would do that for most business owners. They don't want to do that because they feel like, hey, if my name's on the line and something goes wrong, hey, you're already putting yourself in a bad spot in the first place. If you
Hmm.
figuring that this is gonna fail, why are you even starting? So
Right.
tell a lot of business owners, make sure your personal credit is right. So even if you have the personal guarantee, or you can have I would like to say, a contract with somebody that you work with, and they can be a credit partner, credit investor. So definitely to speed that process up as a business owner, you don't have to wait 180 days to build your business credit profile. We suggest you do that, but you can personal guarantee business credit funding initially to start out. Now, that's not an option a lot of people like, but if you're confident in what you're doing and you know that you're going to be able to, make a return on that investment, I would tell anybody to, personally guarantee it to get in the door,
Hmm.
and then also take that liability off of them personally when they get the chance. So.
So aside from footprint, I think also your bookkeeping, your records, like
Mhm,
if you're making a revenue, because different business loans they require you to have a minimum revenue
mhm.
annually, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
So I think stuff like that is important
Yeah,
too.
yeah, it
Yeah.
is. Well, we do have a program where even startup businesses
Hmm.
they can come in with the credit score. That's what I spoke with on the first part is just personal guarantee in that you can do that. But also like having revenue, you can get funded just on basis of you being having consistent revenue. So those things are definitely gonna help businesses get funding.
Hmm. So let's move a little bit. Talk about generational wealth. That's a big push for me on that's kind of what the show and why I got into real estate, generational wealth. I believe real estate is a major vehicle to get there. So when you hear generational wealth, what does that actually mean to you?
It means legacy to me. It means 3 generations down the line, people still be talking about me because
Mhm.
most people they hear they're expiring, right? I don't want to expire. I want people to remember my name and not just people, the lineage that I actually put out here on this earth. So I only say that to say, most people, like I said, they'll never remember their grandmother or their grandfather. If they do, they don't have anything of significance, right? So we want to have something that we can pass down where your grandchildren are talking about you, and not just talking about you, but they benefit from the foundation that you've laid down,
Mhm.
whether it be real estate, whether it be investments, or whatever that could be. But I definitely think that generational wealth is something. It's a thing that we should have conversations about regularly. It's not talked about enough, and we should have those conversations early, even if they're uncomfortable.
So, do you have those conversations with any youth? I'd like to ask that question to my guests, because I feel like a lot of us don't do enough as reaching back. And I know we have platforms, right, where we can reach the younger generation. They're hearing about generational wealth. I just don't know that they really understand it. So, are these conversations that you're having with you?
Absolutely. Thank God again for my mentor. We are going into schools and having. We actually went to our old high school, man. That was a very phenomenal thing to be able to go and see the youth that we walked through those doors. We've been in those lockers, been in those classes to be able to share with them some of our success, give them some insight on some things that they can start to establish early because those things aren't talked about even in school. So we were fortunate
Mhm.
enough to be able to go back to those schools. That's why we do what we do, Queen, because if we don't save us, nobody will. So I feel
Very
like
true.
if we don't have those conversations with the youth early, they're not going to be had, especially if we're
Mhm.
relying on a system or if we're relying on anything outside of our own communities. It's really not going to happen. So it's definitely the onus is on us.
Got it. Um, what are some of your goals as far as I know you built a business. I kind of want to get into that a little bit too, because when we talk about generational wealth and legacy, you've built a business, right? Whether it be with Nove or, even the trucking company, you've laid the blueprint of being an entrepreneur and starting a business. So let's talk to people about like your business journey, your entrepreneurship journey, and what your goals are for the future.
Oh, my goals are to create millionaires, multiple
Okay.
six figures, get other people to see what I see in a sense, right? Or
Mhm.
more importantly, to impact their legacy. It's not just about me. So I always felt like, the Most High would always put me in a position to be okay. I think all of us are at some point always well taken care of. So how can we make sure that our people thrive? So that's really what's my goal is to impact others, create multiple 6 and 7 figure earners with our platform and just my reach and my availability to be able to impact the entrepreneurs, business owners. I grew up almost forced into entrepreneurship. When you see
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, it's like you almost can't turn it off. So for some people who don't have that,
You either have
yeah,
it or
you
you
either have
don't,
it, yeah,
and it looks attractive. It's
it
very
does.
hard.
It's very hard.
Very hard, and people don't talk about the hard part enough, but
Let's
I
talk
I
about it.
talk about it.
Yeah.
It's hard, even just if, keeping, if we want to get into it, keeping your credit straight, your
Yes.
business credit, your funding, keeping your business, your infrastructure together. Like being an entrepreneur is hard. It people on social
Glamorous.
media make it
It's
look
glamorous.
great. But it is a lot of work. You are running your business, which is you, on your own, by yourself. Sometimes you don't have a team. Sometimes
Most
you're
definitely.
blessed if you do,
Yeah.
but it takes a lot. It takes a lot.
And don't be a mom. Shout out to the single moms out there. Like it's another
A
job.
whole
So
nother,
ladies, I
right.
just want to shout out to y'all. You being
Yeah,
a woman
yeah,
in that industry is a whole nother, dynamic. So
yeah. So if you
yeah.
have a family, and if you got one person that's an entrepreneur, the other
And
one
all
that works
not,
a
yeah.
9 to 5,
Yeah.
just even finding the
Family.
balance in that and supporting each other through that. So it's a lot that goes into entrepreneurship. And that's why I kind of wanted to touch on that with you. Cause even getting into now, I'm getting into working with Nove now.
Yeah.
I made that announcement yesterday. So that's another reason why this
Congratulations.
show was special, because I just announced to my followers that I'm gonna be offering personal credit assistance,
Services, yeah.
debt assistance, all of those things. But I meet a lot of entrepreneurs and I talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Everything is not always roses, it's not
Nah.
perfect. And so just making sure that your business is intact and that things personally and business wise are together is
Yeah, I
important.
like to say entrepreneurship chooses you. You don't choose it. We like to. A lot
Absolutely.
of people try to choose entrepreneurship, but you'll find very fast if you are an entrepreneur or not.
Absolutely.
It
Sink
will
or
expose
swim,
you.
right?
Yeah, it would
Yeah, it
expose
is.
you
Yes. Yeah.
and to you. Like entrepreneurship is a journey of growth too. So it's not just about the income. The income, yeah, it's gratifying, but also the time, effort, and energy you put into it is going to definitely play a huge factor. So it's not gonna say it's not for everybody. It is for everybody if you ask me. So you that depending on the conversation you're having. But
Yeah.
I like to say entrepreneurship chooses you. So
Yeah. So what let's talk about Nove. What other things can they do to help consumers and businesses?
A to Z business essentials, whether it's taxes, we can help them get their taxes done. We can help them set up their entities. We can help them get their website. Literally, you can go to, novemoneyworks.com, see all of the resources that we have. We'd have a whole nother podcast to share everything that Nove offers. But I would like to say anything that a business needs from essentials front to back end in terms of bookkeeping, even we can go over various things. We have offer grants, government grant finder. I love this, a Google for grants. So Nove is I like to call one of my mentors, Hazik Ali says, the Amazon for financial services. So you want to definitely go look into what we do. But more importantly, I want people to look at us as a resource, a solution in the community more than anything, because even with the solutions, we offer an opportunity for individuals like myself and like you to show other people how to build lasting wealth, how to start a foundation and get into entrepreneurship at an early age, very affordable, and more importantly, is low risk, right? Especially with our platform, you get a full platform that's already laid out for you. All you got to do is plug and play, but also have the ability to go and serve other people and want it. You got to want it
Right,
in entrepreneurship.
absolutely. Because it makes no sense to be a part of it. Any team, organization, company, and not want it, not understand what you're talking about, it's important. And what we're doing is such a bit. It's like it's
Mission.
important work. Absolutely, it is a mission, and it's not talked about enough. It's perfect for me because I'm in real estate, and the services that are provided are entry level services for people to get into real estate. So that's really why I made the decision to add these services to my business. Yeah.
Solutions. Somebody say
Solutions,
solutions.
right?
Yes.
Solutions, right? Absolutely. So we're gonna move into as we wrap up here. We're gonna move into a rapid fire round. I like to do this, right? So I'm gonna just ask you two things. You say I'm an either or, and you pick. So credit score or cash in hand.
Credit score. You already know.
Okay.
There's so much cash out here. They print it every day. Do we own any money printers? We
No.
we can control our credit score. We can control our income, right? But
Right.
that's one of the number one things that people don't consider, right? They're like,
Right.
look, I'm a hustle. I'm gonna go get it, right?
Mhm.
Cash. I grew up in cash, so like cash ain't an issue for a lot of us. Let's be clear, right? It's credit. It's
It's credit.
information. It's execution. So credit, credit, credit. Cash is credit. There's somebody who has Chase Bank on here right now, right? This guy, you can look it up. He says the only real money is gold. Everything else is credit. So
Absolutely.
if
You
you're
hear that
talking
a
about
lot.
cash with a conversation with me, you don't even know cash because
Mhm.
it's just
Yeah,
it's a certain
no,
conversation that we
absolutely.
have. For
No, I
sure.
get it.
So yeah.
So what's the first thing to cut when budgeting? When people talk about budgeting.
Expenses.
Okay.
Expenses.
I don't know how
Oh
easy
my
that is,
well,
but
well, I like to say I'm the wrong person to say that.
okay.
But I tell my people to do because everybody can't do what you do. Have a certain lifestyle. For me, it's make more money. It's add more assets to your bottom line. But I was
So
like,
you're not a cutter.
I'm not a cutter.
You're
No,
saying add
I'm
more
not.
money,
Add
but keep
more
spending.
income. Not keep
Okay,
not
just
keep
I
spending.
just want to clarify
No,
that.
not keep
Right.
spending.
Okay.
Definitely tighten up on your budget.
Hmm.
Allocate where your money goes. My
Right.
mentor, I go back to him. He tells me where's your money going
A lot of
all
people
the
don't
time.
know where their money is going. That's actually a
I
really good
didn't.
point. Yep. You
I
did. So
didn't.
you didn't know.
Absolutely didn't.
Okay.
And that's why I was spending seven figures, y'all. Just so you clear, making six, spending seven. So that's how you get in bad financial positions, not having access to credit, not having this financial uh information with cash still is a problem, y'all. Just so you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And not looking at what you're doing.
Not
Not,
looking at it,
you know,
budgeting.
or even having somebody to check you and say, what are you doing?
It goes back to the conversations, those educations, me not having the financial awareness,
Yep.
just so
Yep.
there's still a lot of people like that.
Yep. So what's the most underrated money tip?
The most underrated money tip is compound interest. That's the cheat code. Like
Okay.
I don't know
Break that down for us.
right.
The
Think about it. All right, so a penny, you double that
Mm-hmm.
for the next 31 days. What is it? 1 point some million. So that's just simple. I guess the easiest breakdown I can give for somebody for compounding. Money you put away at 10, well, let's say 21 years old, is not going to be to equate to the same money at 41.
Right.
So if you're putting that money away at 21, it's going to look way different
Mhm.
earlier than later. So basically, that money is going to grow exponentially as opposed to it just growing gradually.
Right.
Compound.
Okay. Compound interest. I like that. So finish the sentence. Financial freedom feels like.
Peace.
Mm.
That's the best word I can actually like. It's peace of mind. It's freedom, which a lot of people in our country, just average everyday Americans, don't even experience. You can't get up and control your day.
Hmm. I love
Is
that
that not a
peace.
problem?
Yeah.
That's the best way I can put it.
Okay, peace. I like that. So what's your favorite book, podcast, or mentor that changed your money mindset? We're not gonna shout out to Joe. We've already given him
Yeah,
a
we
shout
definitely
out.
shout out to Big MJ. Our favorite book, podcast. Well, of course, this is my first podcast, so thank you. This is gonna be my favorite, of course. My favorite book, the Bible. I'm not gonna like all other books. A
Okay.
step they come from that. Everything else is an offshoot, or they're getting intellectual property from the Bible. But more importantly, it's just about education. Like one of my mentors says, just study every day, learn, be a sponge. I would tell anybody to just follow really reputable people like yourself, gain
Mhm.
knowledge on education. Because if I just gave you one book, that's cool, but it's not gonna really help somebody, if that makes sense.
Right.
I want somebody. You gotta want it in terms of the
Yeah.
mindset. Like, do you want to have success? Do you want to have? We want to thrive, and then start to seek out mentors. The best thing I've ever done was seek out mentors. YouTube University, right? Like those are some things that I love the most. Is just getting education. So self education is the cheat code. I could throw out a lot of books, but I wouldn't necessarily say the books. I'll just say the Bible. Get in your word, armor of God, and we definitely are men of God. Just so we clear, I wouldn't be here without him. This podcast wouldn't happen. I wouldn't be here. I'm thankful that I made it fashionably late too. Just like just so everybody know, I tried to be on time, but nah. But yeah, I would say the Bible Queen, and that people might not understand that, but that's a financial book. People don't really realize that. There's keys and gems in there that can really take your finances to the next level and build generational wealth. So my favorite is the Bible. And I'm just gonna keep it real with you. Those other books I wouldn't even be able to I guess intellectually digest those books the
Mhm.
right way if I wasn't in the word.
I love that. I love that. So Drew, tell our followers or viewers out there where they can get in touch with you.
Drew Ali official on Instagram, Drew Ali on Facebook, and definitely better get with you because you can see us at some events, seeing you changing lives.
Yep.
But more importantly, just getting any place that we're having some financial function, they can come pull up on us. But
Yeah, and I'll tag him in the replay, so they'll have your information. But I don't know if it was you had like a certain link or a code
no,
or
no,
so. Okay, no.
I'm incognito a little bit. I really of course I'm out of my element right here, right? I wanted to be undercover, right? So,
Right.
but
But
Jalen
I
got me out
appreciate
my comfort
I
zone. I
appreciate
don't
him
want,
coming through. He
yeah, I don't
he
want
doesn't do a
accolades or
lot of
none of that.
this, but he does get in front of large rooms and tells his story and talks to people. So I appreciate for him for coming through. So Drew, but thank you so much. With that being said, thank you so much for joining me today. Your story, your knowledge, your energy, and straight up gems. On financial literacy, credit, and funding were powerful. I know our listeners are walking away with real tools and motivation to start fixing their finances and building something bigger for themselves and their families. To all our listeners and viewers, remember this: your credit matters. Your debt doesn't have to define you, and the right funding can change your future. Whether you're looking to buy a home, build your business, or just get your money right, the time is to act now. If you're ready to improve your credit, reduce your debt, build business credit, or activate business funding, call or text me 630-364-0321. Or hit me up on social media at your homegirl Jillian. Let's get you moving in the right direction toward real freedom and generational wealth, right? So, and if you've got real estate needs, also, whether you're buying, selling, or investing, or just exploring your options, please feel free to give me a call or a text. Again, I'm here to help you with that too. Reach out anytime and let's make your next move your best move. I always love that saying. If you missed any part of today's episode, you can catch the replay on IntellectualRadio.com's YouTube channel, iHeartRadio, or any of my social media platforms, including the Inner Circle Podcast YouTube channel, which is new and it is up and running with all our past shows are out there. I want to thank you all for tuning in to the Inner Circle Podcast, where real estate meets real life and real talk. I'm your host, your homegirl Jillian. Until next time, stay focused, stay inspired, and keep building towards your dreams. Drew, thank you so much. Yep. Let me cut us off. Yeah.